Jiva Cordia, hello everybody. Eimear Burke here. Welcome to another Fireside Chat, and this is Fireside Chat 140, where I'm in conversation with a member of the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. And first of all, I would, as is customary, start with a prayer for peace. Gamara Shiakon ar fud na crinne. Gamara Shiakon in our Jaili agus in our Jirha. Gunairi Lin Lena Kuj Garmaka. Gamich Buichas Jiv, Jaya Hvdaka, is Spirit Hvdaka. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in our homes and in our countries. May our missions be accomplished. We thank you, guardian spirits and guardian deities, for peace. As the fever of day calms towards twilight, may all that is strained in us come to ease. We pray for all who suffered violence today. May an unexpected serenity surprise them. For those who risk their lives each day for peace, may their hearts glimpse providence at the heart of history. That those who make riches from violence and war might hear in their dreams the cries of the lost. That we might see through our fear of each other a new vision to heal our fatal attraction to aggression. That those who enjoy the privilege of peace might not forget their tormented brothers and sisters. That the wolf might lie down with the lamb, that our swords be beaten into plowshares, and to no hurt or harm be done anywhere along the Holy Mountain, with thanks to John O'Donoghue. So let me see where you're all from. Hello, Julia, from finally a dry London. Lovely. Love and blessings from Canada, deepest, darkest, Elmer's End. I've just realized we're not on the OBOD YouTube for some reason. So maybe if people are asking why it's not on, Philip's YouTube is on and mine. That's where we can access it for some reason. Sweden, Knightsbridge in Devon, Plattsburgh, New York, New Hampshire, Hertfordshire, Belgium, Portugal, lovely. Brisbane, oh, you're up early. So anyway, it is so, so lovely to see you all. Norfolk Island, another Australian, beautiful. Another Australian, wow. Croatia, New York, beautiful. So it's quite dull, but 10 degrees here it was today, which is very warm. It'll probably be freezing cold tomorrow. Anyway, all this crazy up and down of weather and inconsistency and the erratic weather patterns we're dealing with. So Portland, Oregon, lovely, and Bunclody, County Wexford, hi Anita, Wickham near Winchester, brilliant. Okay, so we're going to the UK today, and we are going to Street, which is a 5-minute drive from Glastonbury. And let me welcome my guest this evening, Frances Rockhill. Frances, you're so, so welcome to this chat.
Hello, Eimear, and thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to see you.
So, anyone who's a member of OBOD, if they haven't been to Glastonbury, they'll certainly have heard of Glastonbury, because that is where, for so long, we have held our winter and summer gatherings. And because we've outgrown the town hall in Glastonbury, we've had to move to Street, which is 5 minutes drive away. And you live in Street, and that is now our new place for our gatherings. So Jane Myatt says, hello from High River. Oh, you're wearing clothes, Frances. Lovely.
Full set, Jane, a full set.
So John is in Scotland, Torquay, Wyoming, brilliant, South London, Aberdeenshire, Richmond, Virginia. Beautiful to see you all here. Yes, Liz, I'm sorry, I don't know why that happened. We're not streaming the OBOD channel for some reason. It's a mistake, but Philip and my channel is going. So, and hi, Sandy from Tintagel. So, tell us a little bit about Street and your landscape, because it doesn't we know about Clark's Village, and up to now, it kind of didn't really, I don't know, appear on the OBOD landscape. So tell us how it is.
I've been in Street for just over a year now. I lived in Glastonbury for 10 years. So Street and Glastonbury are quite different. So those of you that came to the winter gathering will know that Street is quite urban, it's quite built up, but it's also surrounded by the Somerset levels. And those Somerset levels recently have been under so much water. We've had so much rain. So there have been lakes where there were once fields, but we're gradually starting to see the green again, which is nice. And it's a really beautiful, lush green that's coming through. So it's a town. Street is a very tiny town. A lot of people refer to it as the village. I don't quite get that, but hey, I'll be enlightened at some point, I'm sure.
Clark's Village. It's because it's Clark's Village.
Probably it's because of Clark's Village, and also it once was a village, and obviously now it's a small town. And the theatre where you've been for your winter gathering this year, or last year now, isn't it? I'm just about 5 minutes up the road from there, 5-minute walk, so I'm very close to the theatre. Didn't manage to get to the winter gathering. I won't get to the summer gathering either, but hopefully I'll get to the winter gathering this year and be able to see what it's like with Obod in my local cinema.
Brilliant. So now it's interesting you say, it's in flood now and you're waiting for the green to come back. But how many hundreds of years ago was it in flood before? Because it was drained. I don't know how many years. Because I know.
Got no idea. I have to be honest.
Yeah. You could have come by boat from the Bristol Channel right up.
And the stories of like the Tor have been surrounded by water and people arriving at the Tor by boat and sailing off, and the villages like this Mere village, which is very close to Glastonbury. That's the road to Mere is often very flooded as well, and that used to be almost like lakeland type country as well. So yes, so the land here is used to the water. And of course, as we build on that land that's always been wet, the water has to go to other places. So we see the rivers bursting out of their banks. And like I say, the levels, I have never seen them so wet this year, so flooded. It was like, wow, that is a lot of water this year. And the main road from Glastonbury to Wells was closed at one point as well because of the flooding. Wow. Yeah.
Well, I have my own little Avalon here. So yes. The River Nore is, you've been there.
I do know, yes.
Well, I think when you were here, there was a river. Now it's a lake. And because we've had lots of rain this winter, it goes up and down. And this is the floodplain that protects the city, the Kilkenny city, from flooding. No, I'm perfectly safe. I'm on a hill and the water doesn't come anywhere near me, but often the road is flooded on the other side of the bridge. But it's fascinating, in the early morning, looking at the mist and not being able to see where the river is.
Yeah.
It's all lake, and it's incredible, that magic and the liminality of it and how it changes. And it's not seasonal, because I remember in August, in 2008, it was the wettest August we had in recorded history. That never went down. And normally, rain is a winter phenomenon. So it can happen at any time.
And obviously here at Avalon, we're famous for mists because, you've got the wetness of the land and we get these beautiful, magical mists. And I've got a view of the Tor from my bedroom window. I never had a view of the Tor when I lived in Glastonbury. I find it quite ironic that I've moved a few miles down the road and I've got a really good view of the Tor. But then there are the days when I get up and there is no Tor to see because it's just shrouded in mist. And I like to say, the Tor has gone out for the day. I'm sure it'll be back later, but yeah.
That is brilliant. Ferdiad, who's in London, isn't mere the old English word for lake, unlike German and Dutch where it means sea?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So tell us. So you have someone says, Liz says, the Tor from your bedroom window. Wow. But it's funny. Sometimes you need to get distance perspective. Isn't that funny?
I still hear the drums. Can be good, it can be bad.
So the landscape around, you've got the levels, and then there are wonderful little nuggets.
There are some
embedded within the landscape, because we've been walking in street. Just tell us a bit about that.
So where I live in street, I don't have a view apart from the top of my bedroom window. I don't have a view on the flat. I'm in a housing estate, but you don't have to go very far to be out amongst the greenness of the land. And what we have in our surrounding area is a thing called the Glastonbury Zodiac. And I don't know if anybody's aware of this. It was discovered by a lady lady called Catherine Mortwood in 1935, and she's got quite an interesting backstory to her, so it's worth reading about her. And the Glastonbury zodiac, it's the, as above, so below. It's like the heavens imprinted on the land. So it's the shapes of the zodiac within the landscape, and you can walk these. So I've been very, very fortunate because two of my bestest friends, Sophia and Alison, know so much about the Glastonbury zodiac, and we've been and walked it over the years. So every month we've done that astrological sign of the month, and you go and it's places that you might go to every day, but then you go as part of as a zodiac walk, and you just think, oh, wow, that does feel like that. It's amazing. And if anybody's interested, there is a great book by Mary Kane called The Glastonbury Zodiac. I highly recommend this. So this gives you all the maps. Mary Kane, Caine, and it gives you all the maps of the zodiac, and it gives you all the information about them. It's fabulous. So I do recommend that if you're interested in the Glastonbury zodiac. And if you're in Glastonbury, hanging out there at the times of the gathering, you'll probably find that in one of the bookshops in town. But yeah, the Glastonbury zodiac is fascinating. One of the zodiac signs is called the Ship, and it's what we call a drove. So it's like a lane in the landscape. And whenever I walked that particular piece of land, I always felt like I was on a ship. And up on the hillside is a windmill, but I'd always called it the lighthouse. And then doing the Glastonbury zodiac, oh, that's the ship. Oh, okay, that makes a bit more sense now. That's why I felt like that. So there are elements of the landscape you really feel the zodiac sign. And Capricorn is a unicorn, and you can walk right down to the tip of the unicorn's horn, which is quite fabulous. Yeah, it's brilliant. So yeah, Glastonbury zodiac walks.
Now, do you remember where we went? And I've got a blank, and it was that beautiful carved.
Yes, we went to a place called Coombe Hill Woods, which is between Street and the villages of Compton Dundon. And there was one of the rangers from the woods sadly passed away, and there's a memorial to him made of oak, and it's a great big wooden oak leaf, and it's a chair. So I took a photo of Eimear in the chair and Ali, but it's a really great place to go. But you look out onto the landscape. So opposite you've got Dundon Beacon, and there's a series of hills, and you can imagine, particularly Dundon Beacon, because it's on the edge of the Iron Age hill fort. You can imagine, in the past, there would have been a fire lit there. People would have been looking out to see, who was coming. Are they friends? Are they not? All of those sorts of things. It's a really fabulous, fabulous landscape around here. Very lucky.
And you mentioned Compton Dundon, which has a 1,700-year-old yew tree.
Yes, indeed.
Whom I've met a few times, and
yes.
It's well worth anyone who's going to Glastonbury to head out there. Just beautiful.
Yeah. It is beautiful, and that's in St Andrew's Churchyard. It's fabulous. It's the most beautiful yew. It's all supported now because it is so very old, and people do. Yes, it's got supports. You can see some supports there now. But yeah, it's hanging on in there. It's beautiful, beautiful yew.
And even the chapel is beautiful, the old chapel.
The chapel is lovely, and there are some lovely little chapels. Along the zodiac walks, there's always a chapel. And when you go in, you can see elements in the carvings of the pews. You can see basically sculptures of the zodiac, of the land, of the zodiac sign it's representative of. It's quite fascinating. Oh, there's beautiful dragons and things. They're really fabulous. We're very lucky here.
Just thinking of just Jamie, who's in the US, 1,700 years old. When I met Jamie at the Gulf Coast Gathering in 2019, and Art, one of our, and Kathleen, our host, took us to see a 1,700-year-old oak tree. And I took a photograph of it. I sent it to my friend Sean, who happened to be at Compton Dundon at the same time.
Oh,
and he took a photograph of the yew tree. And I said, wow, we're both at two trees the same age. Well,
yeah.
Roughly. It was just fascinating. Absolutely.
Amazing. I always wonder what those trees have seen and what stories they would tell. I always think about that when I see a tree, particularly an old one.
There's an interesting book, and I think it's out of print, called The Story of Yew, Y-E-W. And I can't remember, it was an Italian count who came from didn't he? Spoke Spanish, and I don't know if he came from Latin America, loved Ireland. Anyway, he wrote this book, The Story of You, from the perspective of a female yew tree. And she starts off as a sapling. She can see her mother over there.
Oh.
And she's thousands of years old, and she's telling her story, and quite an arrogant tree she is, and describing the people who've come and gone and their stupidity, etc. But it's well worth it. And it's said that it's inspired by the yew tree in Muckross Abbey in Killarney National Park, which isn't thousands of years old. But that is an amazing tree because it's in a cloister. It was planted in a cloister. Obviously, the building is older, but it comes up and it has an amazing canopy out beyond the Abbey roof. So it's just beautiful. Pat Booker is a bit irreverent. She says, 100-year-old trees have seen a lot of dogs standing on 3 legs. Well, Ricky Gellison said, not so much a yew with supports as a nent with its own Zimmer frame.
That's really quite lovely.
That's a lovely reframe, Gelly. Jesus, she certainly makes it Ricky. That's a lovely reframe. Brilliant. Lovely. So, Jane wants to know, have you published any more poetry books? Because I know
I never will, Jane. I never will.
Never say never.
Oh, I do.
You'll be caught out when you say no. You say I know. Always or never, you get caught. But anyway, so tell us about your background.
Okay. Professionally, I'm a nurse by trade. I'm still a registered nurse, but I haven't been clinical for a little while. So I'm what is known as a non-clinical office-based nurse. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? And I'm responsible for ensuring people have the correct training within my NHS organisation in Somerset. And that's, work, it's a bit of a thing. So I'm not going to talk too much about work, but I think outside of work, for me, I love just being out in the landscape. I like to be outside. I do love to travel. I was talking to Eimear a little while ago, and I've been to Iceland last year, so I'm going to go back again this year because I absolutely fell in love with it. I spent a bit of time in Scotland as well in November, and then went back over Christmas. So fortunately with my job, because I'm office-based, I can work remotely. And over Christmas, I took that to the extreme, and I packed up my work stuff and off we went in the van and did a little tour of Scotland. So for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, we were in the Cairngorms, had a beautiful white Christmas. I saw reindeers in the wild, and I know that's probably great for everybody else. A load of people have probably seen reindeers in the wild before. I haven't. I've only seen them in a garden centre in December. Have to be honest. But I saw them in the wild and I was like a child. I was so excited to see reindeers just walking past the van window in the Cairngorms. It was beautiful. Wow. I also used a sledge for the first time. I've never sledded, don't quite know the language around this. So sledged down a hill with the children. It was great. The children and the Instagrammers. So that was fabulous. So I had a great time in Scotland. But so I worked between the Christmas and New Year period, and every day I was in a different location. So we worked towards the end of Loch Lomond, went to Skye, went to all different places. It was just so beautiful. And I absolutely love the film The Wicker Man. So we did go to Plockton as well. So we stayed overnight at where they shoot the opening scenes where Huey the policeman lands in his seaplane. And so that's where we stayed there overnight as well. That was marvellous. So I do love getting out and about. So work actually now is getting in the way of the travels. So need to think about that for the future. But you need the money to be able to do the travels, and it's a thing.
It's a bit of a bind. You talk about sledging. Where I did real sledging, the only time was in Scotland. Howard, our first Hogmanay together, he took me to Scotland, and we were sledging with his friends' children. And because there's enough snow, and where I am, I've had 2 white Christmases in my life. One when I was 3, and then one in 2010 when I was 10. And so There's a number of Taimi, who's in Finland, said you should come to northern Finland. There's so many in the wild and also near the Sami herders. Now that would be lovely. Blake wants to know, because Jane asked, are you going to do any more poetry books? That implies there is one.
There is
Jane
one.
has a copy. So where is that one copy or that other book?
There's only one copy left. It's here in my house. So it's a poetry book. It's my dear friend Tom Quinton and I, we put a book together. It's why we called it Symmetry. Oops, there we go, that's better. So it's a collection of our own poems, and we basically put this book together to raise money for charity. So my money raised went to the food bank in Glastonbury, and Tom's went to the Teenage Cancer Trust. So we did it as a charity thing, which is why I'm saying for me there won't be another one. And I don't want to give to charity, but I can't write like that anymore. So
who knows what kind of inspiration you'll find on your travels.
Who knows?
Anyway, that sounds absolutely beautiful. So in terms of your, I suppose, spiritual background.
Okay, so I'm just having to adjust my insulin pump. Please excuse me for a moment. So I'm from a very non-spiritual family, non-religious. So, and before I moved to Glastonbury, I knew that I was looking for something. I wanted something more from life, and I knew that that was a spiritual thing that I needed. So I did what other people do. I wandered a bit around the spiritual supermarket, picked up a few things from the shelves, put them back again, had another wander around. And then when I moved to Glastonbury, I saw an advert in the Oracle, which is a little, people might know it, have come to Glastonbury, so people pick it up as a souvenir. It's like a local little magazine. It tells you what's going on in Glastonbury. And I saw an ad, are you interested in Druidry? And I was interested in Druidry. And I knew that I was more interested in Druidry as a nature religion than I was maybe interested in Wicca or Buddhism and things like that. So I knew that Druidry was speaking to me on a level. So I went and met with a local group, and that's really where everything kicked off. And that group wasn't an OBOD group. I shoplift from a spiritual supermarket. Well done, Sean.
And Sean is a holy man.
Sorry?
Sean is a holy man.
Oh, wow. Sean. It's
Isn't that brilliant?
That's a good job to do. So, Druidry felt like and still feels like the right thing for me. So I then went wholeheartedly into Druidry, and I did the whole thing. Or I was part of a grove. Then I joined another grove, an OBOD grove. I bought all the books. I had the robes. Had my altar at home. I did loads of all of those sorts of things. And then when I moved away from Glastonbury, I had a bit of a decluttering, and I just thought, I just want to pare my life down a little bit. So I let a lot of things go, and things that weren't serving me anymore spiritually. So I now know that my Druidry sits with me being out in the landscape, and I don't need anything else. I don't need what I think of from my perspective, and the things that were for me, they were like trappings. So at the moment, I've got like 3 huge piles of books that are going to go either to the charity shop or to the bookshop in Glastonbury. But yeah, I'm having a real proper pare down and thinking about what how do I express my spirituality? And it is about being out in the landscape. And it's about being out in the landscape with people who share that joy of being out and maybe just standing still and looking at something, and you're both feeling the same thing. You're seeing the same thing, and you're sensing the beauty, and you're feeling the immenseness of that landscape. That's where my Druidry now is, and that fits me perfectly.
That's beautiful to hear that. And I'm just looking at the photograph behind you, and I know there's a story. Well, there's two framed pictures behind you, but the one on the left, and I know it has a name, it's one of the stones in Avebury. So
this one, yes. This has got Milbury, Wiltshire on it. So if anybody can see, this is Avebury Stone Circle, but the picture itself is from a British television children's series from the 1970s, early 80s, can't remember the exact date, called Children of the Stones. So if anybody remembers that, I'm a bit of a fan of Children of the Stones. And I have to be honest that when I've been up on the tour and we're all winning together, I often think of Children of the Stones because there's a bit towards the end and it sounds like they are winning, but they're not. And I have to stop myself having a bit of a giggle. I have to be really honest because I think of Children of the Stones. But it's a really good story. So yeah, Children of the Stones, do look it up. It's probably on YouTube. But yes, it's a fabulous story. It's a children's story, but it's all about the energies of the Stones and other things. I'm not going to give the plot away. No spoilers. The other one is the Mabinogion. So this is a print of Wales, and it tells you where different parts of the Mabinogi, the story where the part of Wales that they're from. Now, my partner Jules, who's in the living room at the moment, he lives in the middle of Wales in a place called Caersus. And just up the road in Newtown is the garage where he gets his tyres for his van. But that apparently is the place where the pigs emerge from the underworld. So it's really great to go there and think about pigs. So this is the living, breathing map of the Mabinogion for me. It's great. And I do spend time in Wales now. So that's my other landscape that I love. But yes, and the Mabinogi is very important, very special to me. So yeah, this map is marvelous. And like I say, I'm traveling up through that landscape a lot now. So I do think about the stories as I travel up through Wales.
And of course, that's where we met.
It is where we met, Eimear.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And I remember when we did we split into little groups and we reenacted parts, and my bit was the pigs.
Go ahead. Yes.
So it all just fits together in the little great big puzzle of the universe that we're in, doesn't it?
Brilliant.
Amazing.
There's lots of reaction to Children of the Stones here.
Oh.
Julia says, loved Children of the Stones, so creepy. Apparently, it wasn't supposed to be a children's TV show. And Ferdiet says, very spooky for a children's story. And then, yeah, she said, Children of the Stones, Cat Weasel, and The Good Life had a huge influence in my formative years and probably accounts for where I am now. Brilliant.
Absolutely. Here.
Lovely. Absolutely. So, I know your friend Alison read out a poem of yours, Peace. Would you like to share that with us?
I don't feel I've got an option, so I will.
That's fine. I'm happy for you not to have an option.
I haven't got an option. I know I haven't. Because I'm of an age, I just need to change my glasses to be able to read it. So this is a poem. It's called Peace. And the little story behind this is that when I was writing, I put a little call out on Facebook to say, give me some words. I wanted some inspiration. I remember I said that this book was me and Tom Quinton. So Tom's wife, Carly, she offered me the word peace. And I wrote this poem in about 10 minutes in between teaching basic life support in a hospital. So, and I was imagining elements. I was imagining the elements as being like superheroes, but we know that not all superheroes are good. If anybody's watched The Boys on Amazon Prime, it's very good. But anyway, and I was imagining superheroes as the elements. So this is my poem. I didn't write these to read out loud, by the way, and I'm not a great orator. So Peace. Peace wept. Her sister, Terror, was breaking. Ocean crashed beneath her, steadily claiming her. Wind howled over her head, making sky angry. Chaos was here, but calm was missing. Peace wept. Ocean and wind conspired and made rain. Together they rent their force upon Terror. Sky became grey, then black. Sun hid, fearing the worst. Chaos was here, but calm was missing. Peace wept. Cold came with his brothers, snow and ice. They smothered Terror. Her soft green became hard white. Chaos relaxed. Calm awoke. Peace wept. Calm had returned, bringing Sun with him. Sun bathed Terror in a warm heat of love and tenderness. Terror shifted under the weight of snow and ice. Calm was here and chaos was missing. Peace wept. Her sister had returned stronger and more beautiful than ever. Sun greeted her every day. Ocean, tamed, gently lapped at her feet. Wind gently caressed her. Calm is here. Chaos is missing. So part of this is what I'm a bit obsessed about the Ice Age and things like that. I just am. So part of that was about the Ice Age and about the change. So whatever happens to the planet, even when, you know, parts of her are really covered in ice, underneath things are still going on, and the planet will resolve and survive, but maybe in a different way than before. So it's about the evolution as well of the planet. So just a small thing.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is just beautiful. Wonderful. That was lovely, gorgeous. Just blown away by that. So, about you, a challenge that you've overcome.
Reading a poem out on this evening. I have to change my glasses again now. No, seriously, that is a challenge for me. People who know me will think this is a bit mad of me to say, but I am a shy person. It takes me, I have to feel comfortable with people to not be a shy person. So to read that out aloud, I know I'm reading to Eimear. I'm imagining that nobody else is here at all. I hope they are for Eimear, but I know they are. But for me, I'm just talking to Eimear. I'm not thinking that there's anybody else here, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to sit and do this. So this is a massive challenge for me. And when Eimear invited me, and then you emailed me, it took me a week to respond because I was going through my terror anxiety cycle. I'm still slightly in that, but you know. So this is this, and when I was in the Grove as well, that a lot of that was about putting myself out there and not being quite so shy. So this is why people who know me might think it's odd that I'm saying I'm shy, but I am shy.
So am I. Seriously. So if I'm the hostess, I'm not shy. But if I'm the guest, I'm shy. It's a different thing. Okay. Jules says there are so many parallels to that human condition, you know, from your poem. I wish I could get a copy. ... Hint, hint.
Okay, I don't know how I could pop it on the ABOD page. Would that be okay? I'll just pop it on there.
Do. Thank you. That would be brilliant.
Pleasure.
Good idea, Jules. Great. Lillian says, good job facing your fears now. Blake says, introversion is not uncommon among Druids, though I find we do better among our fellow Druids than other demographics of Rangers. And Gabriella says, perhaps you could see this chat as introverting together.
Fireside introversions.
That's right. And then Jules says, thank you. And Jackie says, how refreshing to hear such an inspiring poem that's relatable to the new age. Tiny says, an awe-inspiring poem, Frances. Would it be possible to think about another worthy charity which would make a reprint possible?
The thing is, you have to sell them. I think I've run out of people to sell them to because I've got nothing new.
Well, you see, you've sold to everybody locally, but there's a whole online business here who... Oh, and Jane Myatt says, can I be your book manager and promoter? Jane, you're crazy for offering that. Say yes. Say yes. Put a tour.
Do a tour. Can I do a tour of Canada, Jane, please? Can I start there?
Well, you mean the proceeds could go to planting trees, something like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That could be an order thing. All right, Jane. So you liaise with Frances about organising that, and then people will buy. And it goes to planting trees for the order or something like that. Not for the order, but the order does donate money every year to trees can be planted. Well done. I mean, sometimes ideas have come up on these chats. One was, okay, well, Timey says, I would buy one French from the print. So we've got one person who's going to buy and a few others.
Thank you.
But it was here that the Community Cloak project started.
Oh, okay.
When Fleur Camille was my guest, she was talking about how her grandmother taught her to embroider, and they would get some kind of garment and then embroider prayers and good wishes. And then the cloak idea was born. Then Marcella Gillian Walsh went to make the cloak, and it's gone around the world, and it's still going around the world.
And it's so beautiful.
Yeah. So these ideas can happen. So brilliant. Oh, So this is all about community. Anyway, that's something that you can take away with. You have nothing else to do in your life. So
don't do anything.
Well, if it's reprinting the book that you don't have to write new poems for, isn't that lovely?
It is, yeah. And obviously I'll chat to Tom, yeah, because he's the other side of this.
Brilliant.
Because it's full of Toms as well. Tom's a very good poet.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. So this is one challenge, a living challenge that you have overcome. Any other challenges that you've overcome that you're pleased about?
Oh, I wasn't quite prepared for this. Challenges. Can't think of anything. I can't think of anything. I probably have got millions of challenges. Oh, do you know, this is a really silly one.
Go on.
It's so silly, everybody. I'm really sorry about this. I hate driving. Gets you from A to B though, doesn't it? When I went to Iceland last year, it's the first time I've driven on the other side of the road. I'm not good at right and left. I have to go like this for left, this for the right, the other left. So I had to drive on the other side of the road. So Jules, my partner, he was very, very patient. And I did. By the last day, I sort of like finally got there. But we're going back. Going to have to do it a lot more. It's going to be a challenge. And I've been driving an automatic since 2007. I'm going to have to get used to gears. It's 3 pedals. What do they all do? I don't know. So anyway, so that is going to be a challenge. I'm going to have to go. And that's a silly one because it's about driving and getting to places. But other than that, I think my main challenges recently have been about work. So obviously I've been in the NHS, been through the pandemic. That was a very difficult time. A lot of things changed. Things are never going to be the same ever again. That's all been a bit of a challenge. Moving out of Glastonbury as well was a bit of a challenge. Leaving the Grove was a challenge. I had a bit of FOMO. I thought, well, people still want to know me. And people do, which is good. So there's been a series of tiny challenges. Tiny ones, really not very substantial in the great scheme of the universe.
Well, you're not alone around your driving. It's not silly. It's you're courageous for facing it head on. No pun intended.
Oh, yeah.
Blake says, I'm 40 years old. I've only ever driven an automatic. I do not know what to do with the standard. And driving is quite serious business. It is absolutely well done. And is your camper van? Is it a motorhome or a camper van? Is it a big fat thing?
It's a converted van. It's a converted.
Like mine. Okay, van. That's more forgiving. The big motorhomes are wider, harder to do. And then, of course, when you're driving on the wrong side of the road, as they do outside Ireland and Britain, it's very difficult. I don't know why they chose to drive on the wrong side of the road.
And call it the other side.
The wrong side of the road.
I'm very forgiving. It's the other side of the road. Yeah.
So within all of those challenges, have you done anything reckless?
Oh, do you know, sorry, Eimear, I've forgotten a challenge. I went to the Lake District and we climbed a mountain. Now I thought I would always really want to do that. We climbed a very small mountain in Coniston because I really didn't want to do the big one. So, and I hated every minute of it. I have to be really honest. I had a Christmas pudding in my backpack because we hadn't eaten it at Christmas, and we thought it would be really fun to eat the Christmas pudding at the top of the mountain. By the time I got halfway up, I was like, oh, I hate this. But managed to get to the top. And then didn't want to eat the Christmas pudding. I got blown over by the wind, so I was on my backpack like a turtle, and couldn't get up. Apparently, that was quite amusing. So that was a challenge for me, and I was really grateful to be getting closer to the ground on the way down. It did really challenge me, and it made me realise things that I thought would be easy to do aren't. And it was the challenge of the elements as well. So like I said, it was very windy. The winds were like supposed to be 20 miles per hour. I've never been knocked over by wind in my life. I'm about 8.5 stone. You know, I'm not a featherweight. And yeah, it was a real massive challenge for me. I didn't cry, but I was close to it. I swore a lot.
Swearing helps. It gives you energy.
It did. Yes. It gave me a lot of energy to get out of there. Get off the mountain. But yeah, it was a massive challenge for me. And I said never again, but I probably would do it again, because now I've got an idea of what that would be, what the experience would be. I maybe need to do it again just to make sure I don't ever want to do it again.
Well, the madness thing I would say about that was carrying a Christmas pudding up there, because it's heavy. Christmas pudding is heavy, and then you didn't eat it, and then you bring it back down again. Anyway, Sean, the spiritual shoplifter, he says, I barely climb out of bed. A mountain is a big deal.
Yeah.
So, and I wonder, where does recklessness come in here with any of those challenges?
Yeah, I like recklessness. I'm a rebellious, mischievous person, Eimear. You might have noticed that every so often about me. No. And I like to challenge myself. I do like to challenge myself. I don't want to watch life pass by. I want to be in life, experiencing as much as I possibly can. Which also leads to saying at least I've got all my clothes on, because, you know, there's been times in areas of water, when we've all been together as a small group and 9 months in the freezing cold, icy pond.
And, you know, I think you don't know when life is going to be taken, or health. So I think you live life as fully as you can for as long as you can.
Yes.
And that's what's so important.
Yeah.
What are you grateful for, Frances?
I am grateful for friendship, very much so, and the love of friendship. I'm grateful for the love of a man that I have there in my living room. I'm grateful that I've got a roof over my head and food in my cupboards, and I'm grateful for my family. That's what I'm really grateful for, because without those things, everything seems to fall apart. The circle isn't a whole circle. It's just a series of dotted lines, isn't it? Absolutely.
And I think practicing gratitude is one of the, for me, the lifeline. And I think it can be a lifeline for many people.
Yeah. I'm very grateful.
To find that magic. And I'm just coming to joy. To find joy in things, even within pain and sorrow and sadness. What is it that gives you joy?
Oh, music. I love music. I love it. Really love it. I just do. It brings me immense joy. And obviously music, it carries your memories. It carries smells of places that you've been and people that you've been with. All of those things. It's a whole big emotional thing of music. It's also, for me, it's like being out in the landscape. We've talked a lot at home recently about the romance of being out in the landscape and how romantic it is to enjoy a view and to see a view. We've talked a lot about train journeys when you've got a big picture window, and it's almost like you're in a moving piece of art, because art is my other passion. There's just so much joy out there to be found, I personally feel.
Beautiful. And I know on Instagram you post lots of artwork.
I do.
And who is your favorite artist? Or do you have a favorite?
See, I love. I've got to get the name right. I love Klimt, not the Kiss artist, the other one with the shapes. Oh God, I can't remember the name. I've gone blank, so I'm doing this. But I went to the Tate last year to see their exhibition, and I was in absolute tears with it. It was amazing. The other art I really love, I love old masters. I love faces. So Rembrandt, for instance. I love Rembrandt, and obviously his use of light and dark. I love Turner. I've recently had a new appreciation of Turner, and going to see they've got some of his work at Tate Britain, and there's a beautiful painting of a ship in really rough seas, and the light of the moon is shining down on the city, and it's just stunning. Art, I get quite emotional about art. I really do. I love it. I can just stand and look at something for ages. But yeah, I've often been in the Tate Modern with tears. And Yayoi Kusama, who's fabulous Japanese artist. If anybody's been to Tate recently and seen her Hall of Mirrors, that's quite spectacular. So it's an experiential art as well as her other things that she's done. But yeah, Yayoi Kusama is excellent.
Turner, it's interesting. And I don't know if it's still the case. In our National Art Gallery in Dublin, every January was the month that Turner's paintings were put on exhibition, because it was the time that the light was kindest and didn't damage paintings. So every January, and it's a long, long time since I've gone to see the Turner, and I wonder if they still have them. You know, if an exhibition for the month of January. So there's lots of people. There are lots of people loving Turner, and somebody said, "Is it Klimt or Clint?"
Oh, this is it. I'm going to have to look at my book. I can't move.
Somebody said Hilma Klint, and then
that's the one. Yeah, it's not the artist that did the kiss. This is why I go like this. The kiss. It's not the artist that did the kiss. Their names are very, very similar. Let me just Google. Yes. Other search engines are available.
There's Gustav Klimt, and is he the kisser? And I've seen that.
Oh, have you? Because that's beautiful
in Vienna. And when the first time I saw posters of the kiss, this is probably the late 70s, early 80s, I could think, I don't like this. I just don't get it. And then you go and see it there, and there's gold in the he uses gold paint. It is just spectacular. Oh. And the prints just do not do it justice.
No. It's Hilma. It's Hilma af Klint. Beautiful.
Yes. And she was a mystic. Nimi says she was a mystic.
Yeah. Yeah. Fabulous. There was a fabulous exhibition. And the other, what's going on my head? Oh, the other thing is the Book of Kells. Oh. I love an illuminated manuscript. They're just fabulous. And all like the drawings in between. And it's just the most amazing thing. I started a Masters of Celtic Studies at St. David's in Wales must have been about 2020. And I didn't finish because I became unwell and I couldn't do it. So, but I had to write loads of book reviews, and I'd also had to write almost like a guide to the Book of Kells. And I'd always loved the Book of Kells, but then obviously had to read quite a bit about it, and it's just amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of art.
Have you actually been to Trinity?
No, and I have to go.
Well, I have a confession. I was in Trinity for 6 years. Passing the long library every day, and I could have gone in there for nothing, and I was always too busy.
Oh wow!
So I said, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. No, I'll do it in the summer.
Yeah.
And and only 3 years ago did I see it with Philip and my friend Alwyn and another friend Rona Fogarty, who is an old Irish scholar, and she took us in.
Oh wow!
Oh my God! It was just brilliant.
Yeah.
But imagine it took me that long to go and see it. So brilliant.
Oh, yeah, I do need to see it. And I'm never sure whether you just see one page or whether you can see more.
No, you only see one, and it's in a case.
Yeah.
And then you see photographs. But now, so Timmy says there are no books at Trinity at the moment for reasons of renovation. I thought they'd finished the renovation, Timmy. Maybe not. And they're also digitizing it so that you can actually, there'll be the one page open. And I thought that was open, maybe not. Okay, Owen says there are digital scans of the Book of Kells.
Okay.
And of course, they would be really beautiful. So then you actually get to see way more pages than just the one page. Oh, just beautiful. And maybe you could illustrate your poetry book.
Yeah, maybe.
Become a scribe. Yes. So Ferdia said, this is why having guests and visitors is so great. We get to have the joy of being a tourist in our own towns and seeing things we're usually too busy to see. I mean, it's terrible. Yes. Oh, and Nimi says, just one page. I was so disappointed when we went. It's a pity you're disappointed. I was blown away by it, just by the whole thing. And I look forward to seeing the new exhibition, because when I was in Trinity, it would have been very different. I think it was in a case, in a big hall. Now it's previous to now, the previous iteration of the display, there was far more in it, and now I think after the reservation, the renovations, there'll even be more. So we're talking about famous artist, and then musicians. Pat just wanted to remind you of the time you were doing the time warp at that Iron Age.
Pat, I talk about it a lot. I talk about that because we were at Ham Hill, which is an Iron Age hill fort. We have quite a few around here in Somerset, and we were with Philip and some other people. I remember this very well, Pat, because it was also my birthday. So it was a grey, wet day in May. It's also a day that I watched Eimear scale a tree. You did very well climbing a tree. I was very impressed. So I often walk past that tree, and I think that's Eimear's tree. Eva was up there as well. Happy birthday, Eva, because that's today. But yeah, we did the time warp. So, and Pat, I think you instigated that. It certainly wasn't me. I just joined in, because why wouldn't you?
And I don't know the time warp.
The stone circle.
And I didn't know the time warp.
Do you know it now?
Ish. Is that from the Rocky thingy?
Yes. It's just
okay. Well, I have been to the Rocky Horror Show with Pat, not knowing this was a serious business where people dress up in costume, role, and I was blown. I'd never come across this before, so it was.
It's a thing.
So, who is your favorite musician then? What kind of music do you like? You say this.
Oh, I love a bit of prog rock. So I love a bit of prog rock. I love a band called the ancient bands from the 1970s. So I love Focus, Hawkwind, King Crimson. I love Jean-Michel Jarre. I'm just going through my vinyl collection in my head. I love old music, old music. I just love music.
I'm laughing. 70s is old music, and those names, I should know, mean nothing. No. I mean, I anything since the Beatles, I'm way out of. But I love old music, but give me Baroque.
Okay.
Classical. That's funny. Brilliant.
I do like a bit of classical as well, but I also love Steve Hillage and Gong and all sorts of lovely, amazing music. So music is quite important to me. I'm currently building up my vinyl collection, so we've got some great charity shops where I can pick up some good prog.
You know, it's fascinating. I remember when the cassette tapes came in, and this was so much better, and they didn't take up so much space, etc. And you could travel with them.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ferdy. If it's not Baroque, don't fix it. I remember winding the cassette tapes with the biro and all of that kind of stuff, and if it got cracked, tape was ruined, and getting it stuck in the mechanism and all of that. And then CDs revolutionized everything, and they were meant to be scratch free, damage free, and now I could not have foreseen that vinyls would come back. And vinyls are expensive. They always were, and then everything got cheap. And that people now will invest in vinyls. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, I am investing in vinyl. And CDs, they're awful, aren't they? They do jump and scratch, and I've got so many in the car that I know when the music jumps. So if I play that same thing at home on vinyl, I'm waiting for the jump and it doesn't happen.
And it was just so funny that this perfect, Freddie taping music off the radio, I remember. Yes. And then putting so that you could tape over something else, blocking the little holes. Ricky, I love Baroque and roll. Put another dime in the jukes box. This is brilliant. Excellent. So you have Gothic Hawkwood fans here as well.
Good.
Oh, there's a few mentions of them. So it is brilliant. So a concern you have for the modern world?
I suppose I worry about loads of things. I worry about people being hungry and homeless. I worry about the state of the planet. I do generally worry about all those three things. And particularly when I lived in Glastonbury, because it's not a wealthy town, people would go to Glastonbury expecting to find, I don't know, their spiritual nirvana, their heaven, and didn't find it. you get a lot of homeless people there as well, people with really severe mental health problems as well. And it's that awful feeling of helplessness because you can't help everybody all the time.
What do you think accounts for the high level of homelessness in Glastonbury? Is that typical of any town in Somerset or anywhere around, or is it something about?
I think Glastonbury draws people in, doesn't it? It draws you in. I was certainly drawn in. I visited originally for the day, and then I said, "Oh, we're going to move there," and did. And like 2.5 months later, I was living in Glastonbury. There's something that pulls you in. A lot of people who'd lived in Glastonbury for a long time that I knew when I lived there, they were saying that, you know, they were drawn to Glastonbury because it is a place where you can be yourself, you can express yourself. Street is very different. When I first moved here, I remember being in Sainsbury's. It's a supermarket. Other supermarkets are available, but I dressed as I'd always dressed in Glastonbury, and I just thought, oh, people are looking at me. And I thought, oh, I'm in a different place now. And it was that real recognition that I was in a different, very, very different town. And I'm a couple of miles down the road. Glastonbury is very unique. It's very different.
That's fascinating because, yes, it's 5 minutes in a car or a 30-minute walk.
Well, it's another world. You're out of the bubble of Glastonbury. It's almost like it's got a bubble roof over the top of it. It's fascinating.
Jane says it's the monks and the drumming that draws you in.
Do you think? The monks and the drumming?
Who knows? Or maybe the mists. Yeah, I don't know. It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do people come there in the hope of being healed? You know, it's a spiritual place. And then when that doesn't happen, that's very disappointing because it's not for everybody.
It's not. And there is a thing that, you know, when that Glastonbury can chew you up and spit you out. There's this whole thing as if it's an entity of its own, and it lets in the people it wants to let in and doesn't let in the others. It's a weird place, but I think that people go there, you know, to try and find their spiritual family as well. It's to satisfy a need within them. They think they're gonna have their find their answers in Glastonbury, but you still need food and a roof over your head and to be warm.
That's right. Yes, there's the pragmatic side of it. So Jane is talking about the monks under the Tor. Pat says Glastonbury is more complicated than it seems. I think nice place to visit, but I couldn't live there. And Lisa says, I live in a town where there was a bubble, but too many users and druggies showed up. Still, we help each other and keep going.
Oh.
Joseph wants to know, do you know Paul Weston, the Glastonbury cultural icon?
Yes. Paul's an absolute authority on loads and loads of things. He's a fascinating person. So if ever you're in Glastonbury and he's giving any talks, he's well worth going along to listen to. He really is.
Brilliant. Nimi says, I've always felt completely accepted and safe in Glastonbury. Yeah. Just sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know of people who've gone and say, okay, there's a group of them and say, we're going to climb the Tor.
Yeah.
And then people are going, and then somebody arrives at the little stile and they go, I can't. I'm not going to go up there. So people get a message and they listen to it.
Yeah.
Sean now, who's the shoplifter, the spiritual shoplifter. I wonder if there's a Glastonbury syndrome, like a Jerusalem syndrome, where the environment triggers a religious experience. Well, you do know Glastonbury is known as the New Jerusalem. That's how I lived in Lesotho in Southern Africa, and I had never heard of Glastonbury.
Okay.
And I belonged to kind of a meditation and healers group there, and that's where I heard about Glastonbury and that it was the New Jerusalem, and that energetically it hovered above Glastonbury.
Okay. Wow. I hadn't heard that. I lived there for over 10 years. I wasn't aware of that at all, I have to be honest. Wow.
And Joseph says, well, the original Jerusalem was actually Edinburgh. So I've heard you say. Oh, it's just wonderful. So what gives you hope then for the modern world?
Well, I hope that people like us, that's a terrible thing to say. I hope that other people who feel the same as I do, I hope that there are loads of us How can I phrase this? We have to look out for each other and look after each other. So it's the hope that there are enough kind, compassionate people out there to do that, and also to think about the environment, and not to think it's too late, we don't have to worry anymore, but because we do.
I think it's not giving up, and I reaching out, and I know from people here, you know, the community of the order. Blake says, hopefully we Druid-types can make positive ripples. Yes, look out. I agree, Lisa. Look out for each other. That's what it is, and generally, what we through these is reaching out to each other and be a lifeline. I mean, it's only through compassion, love, that
absolutely,
and cooperation, collaboration, acceptance, and accepting of the diversity within the world. And of course, our own order is so diverse. So Sean says,
existences. It's the love of all existences. We all say it, and we need to mean it.
Yolo Morganic was very wise, even if he was a bit mischievous. That prayer, you know, you can't find fault with it. You can't dispute it. Sean says, Druidry is an airborne affair. It spreads when we talk to each other. Absolutely. Yeah. And Carmen, who's in Spain, isn't there a powerful energy chakra in Glastonbury? I read that it's the planet's heart chakra.
Yes, apparently so. That's all I can say is apparently so. I've read that too and heard that too. Who knows if that's the actualness of it? I'm not the one that can answer that.
I mean, I've heard that too, so I don't know. And Ferdy, it says, I hope we'll be able to throw off the illusion of individualism and embrace our interconnectedness. And I mean, the thing is, it is an illusion, Ferdy, I'd agree, and we are interconnected, and it's through our awareness of it. It's the same with the light body exercise. It's there, our light body is always there, and that exercise is not about increasing it, it's about raising our awareness of it.
Yeah.
Having that sense of So it has been such a joy talking to you, Frances.
Oh, Eimear, it's been lovely. Thank you.
And my last two questions are, as they always are, what is your favorite season of the year, and what is your favorite? I know you say you don't do ritual anymore, but when it was, what is your favorite ceremony, you know, on the wheel of the year?
Winter solstice. And winter has always been my favorite season. Has always been, but this year I had a slight change of heart about that, and I've been a bit because it's just been so grey. And normally I love the winter. I think about winter as being this really lovely dark cloak of lovely warmth that you wrap around yourself. You know, you make sure you're nice and warm at home. You've got your books and everything, and it's all lovely and cozy, and you're ready to basically settle in for the winter. So I absolutely love the winter, and I love the winter solstice. I love burning the old mistletoe. That is the one thing that I still do. I burn last year's mistletoe, hang the next year's mistletoe up, and I do that collectively with friends. So we burn our mistletoe at the same time. So we're in different places, but we have that little ritual that we do. But like I say, winter this year, it's just, I think post December, it's just we've been under a grey, wet cloud here, and it's starting to feel a bit oppressive. So it's been lovely this week. There's been 2 days of sunshine, and it's been like, yes, I put washing on the line. That's always a good sign, isn't it? But it's you know, we've had a couple of days of sunshine, and it's made all the difference. So I feel this year winter's gone on a bit. We've not had those cold, crisp, lovely days. I mean, obviously I had them in Scotland, but here in Somerset we've not had that cold, lovely crispness that you often get in the winter. It's just been wet. It just feels it's been wet.
It's that dull greyness that hangs.
Yeah. But yeah, winter for me, winter solstice, love it.
Well, Frances, it has been such a joy chatting to you. So we will just look at the comments afterwards, because we didn't get to look at all the comments. So I'll let you say good night to everybody, or good afternoon, good morning, wherever. And
yes. Well, it's a good night from Street, but those of you in Australia, it's good morning. Have a great day. I hope the sun shines for you. And everybody else, whichever time zone you're on, I hope that the day has either been good or you're going into a lovely day. Thank you for being here this evening, listening to me prattle on and listening to lovely Eimear. Thank you so much.
Chat to you soon. So thank you for joining us. I really enjoyed my chat with Frances this evening, and I wish you all the best for the rest of your evening, your afternoon, your morning, or if you're watching a recording of this chat. I will be not here next week, but there'll be another chat the following week. So until then, please be well. And actually, don't forget our spring equinox, Connacht and Ari Albanailer ceremony will be on Saturday, the 23rd of March at 7 p.m. UK time, and hopefully you'll join us then. So until we meet again, be well. Slán go fóill.